Okay, hi everybody. Now we're into week 5, and this week in our Visions of American History since 1945, the theme is Saturday night, okay, or Saturday nights. And what we're going to look at this week is we kind of jump into the 70s. You know, we've been dealing with the 50s and the 60s, and now we're going to jump into the 70s. And particularly we want to look at the role of television and how television kind of portrays things. And I want to offer up a thought this week as we look at this week's topic of new issues. The 70s introduces some issues that either didn't exist previously or existed and we just didn't deal with them previously. So they offer some interesting kinds of things. For example, disco. The music disco comes and goes. Talk about a flash in the pan. Not like rock and roll or blues or jazz that stays, around forever, stands the test of time. Disco's around for a decade at most and it is gone. It's wildly popular, then crashes immediately. It's kind of interesting to look at why that happened. Okay, so we'll take a peek at that and maybe some of the messages or the issues behind it or who that appealed to and what kind of things it appealed to. So we'll be looking at that this week. A big event politically is Watergate happens during this time. There's a real good video when you go into the assignments tab, or excuse me, the materials tab and the objectives. There's a real good video down at the bottom of the canopy on Watergate, and Dick Cavett's explaining the Watergate situation, and we'll talk a bit about that during the live lecture. But in essence, Watergate is a time when the President of the United States gets involved in a conspiracy to cover up a break-in. Okay, not that the President planned it, but it's one of those situations when the President found out about it. Instead of doing the right thing and exposing those people, he tried to cover it up and protect his political friends, and that leads to the resignation of Richard Nixon, the only president ever to leave office, resign from office. He was going to be impeached. They were going to remove him from office, so he resigns first. But Nixon's an interesting guy, as we'll talk about a little bit during the live lecture as well. Nixon offered up a thought when he was being interviewed about when Dick Cavett was interviewing him, David Frost was interviewing him, and Mr. Frost asked the President of the United States if what he did was illegal, and a great quote is Nixon said to him, "If the President does it, it's not illegal." So it's Nixon had a whole very different mentality about the power of the presidency and so forth. So we look, that comes out in the 70s. So that has Americans kind of shifting their thinking about politics and some stuff. Saturday Night Live, the comedy series, right, or show, begins then and offers kind of a political take on comedy, which is kind of new. Roots, once again, kind of is the focal point of some of the realities of going on TV. So TV's taking a lot of different tacks and areas as it's moving through. But one area that I want you to look at, and we have another great canopy video on that, is the issue of gay rights shows up for one of the first times as a significant issue. Okay, and there's a demand, if you will, initially. It's kind of like way back when feminism was kind of first wave of gay rights, and the Stonewall situation there in New York. The video we have on that. Take a look at that. That gives you some insight into the thinking that's going on. So we have all of these new things. Right, we have this new music with disco. We have this new thinking about politics. We have this new issue of another group, asking for civil rights. And then finally, this week we look at what's called the second wave of feminism. We've talked about feminism previously, but now we're going to focus in on the second wave, where women are making political demands, not just to vote, but to be part of the process, to shift their thinking from just voting to now being more active, okay, in political issues, running for office, in the workplace, different things along that line. And Time magazine in the 70s, and I apologize, I forget the year, they always do a person of the year. In one of the years of the 1970s, the American woman was the person of the year, kind of highlighting the women's movement and the notion of feminism and how feminism was kind of changing in America. So we're going to look at that in our discussion, okay, this week. And then finally in the writing portion, we're going to look at some more film. We always want to incorporate film. And we're going to try to tie film into a specific event in history, whether that be Watergate or domestic containment or McCarthyism, or all of the different things we've looked at. You're going to pick a film and try to connect it to an event and write about that. Okay? So this week, week 5, okay, we're into the 70s, and we're into these kind of new issues that show up. Right, and the changes that are going on. And this, again, kind of sets the stage for pop culture to push some more challenges as America kind of moves forward, trying to define itself culturally. All right, so that's what we're going to look at. Have any questions, never hesitate to contact me. I'm always here to help you. All right, have a good week now.